Hey, good morning. Today is another one of our first fives. Today we're looking at this text from Exodus chapter 18. Now, I'll just kind of preface this text by saying this. Often people are really nervous about who their father-in-laws may be. They're nervous about what that relationship could look like, especially if you're the guy marrying the daughter, right? I was nervous about my father-in-law. In fact, when I asked him if I could marry his daughter, he never actually answered me for about 6 hours, but he thought he had answered me hours earlier. So I eventually had to ask him a second time. Not the most fun thing to do, but it is the reality of what actually happened. But here's the story of Moses and his father-in-law. So Exodus 18, beginning at verse 7. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. He said, "Praise be to the Lord, who rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel arrogantly." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. The next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and laws." Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I'll give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them the decrees and laws, and show them the way to live and the duties they are to perform. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men, who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That'll make your load lighter, because they will share it with you." I love this story because I love this particular line when he starts this. Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good." How many times in life do we try to carry burdens that are just too heavy for us? How many times have we done something successful, like we've been a part of what God has done and it's been incredible, and so we think it's about us or our own weight. Like, I'm as guilty of living this out as anyone is. And so we see great things happen, so it's going to happen. It depends on me, right? Like, I've got to do this. But the reality is, if we find ways to expand our leadership, find ways to expand what God's doing through others, find ways to recognize it takes all of us to do God's work, then the ministry, our lives, are expanded exponentially rather than recognizing that one person just bottlenecks everything. So how do we live this out? How do we recognize the words of Jethro to Moses are sometimes the words of God to us? What you are doing is not good. You cannot do this on your own. And so may you and I find that more often than not, we're not trying to do this on our own. It may be our father-in-law who has to give us some of this wisdom. It may be someone else that gives us this wisdom. But if we're not careful, we can think that we can go it alone in whatever area it is that we're serving, whatever area it is that we're living, and we'll think we'll figure it all out. When in reality, what we probably need to do is raise up some other people. And when we do that, whatever we're doing that's good will be exponentially expanded. And so may you and I be people who expand the goodness of what's happening around us. May we recognize that we cannot carry it alone. And may we recognize God wants to do great things. And even when we've been a part of great things, there's still greater things yet to come. And so may you and I live from that place. And we hope you'll think about that today as we celebrate what God is doing in our lives. And so we'll catch you next time for another First Five.